Hello, my name is Mayana and welcome to My Core. Today I'm going to be recommending you found family books. So found family is like one of my favorite tropes. So I compiled a list of recommendations from a Goodreads list that I've been making over the years, and these are like all the ones that I can find, and not like a lot, but these are the ones I can find, and I have them categorized by genre. So I have YA, and these are categorized very weirdly. This is just something I came up with literally right on the spot. So I have YA fantasy, adult fantasy, contemporary romance, and graphic novels. So yeah, we're just gonna get into the video. So section is YA fantasy, and the first book that I want to recommend is Skyward. This is technically YA sci-fi, but I forgot to put YA sci-fi fantasy, but whatever. So this book is about a girl whose father basically like like I said, it's a sci-fi book, so this world they like use a lot of like ships and they fly and stuff like that, and so the father takes this ship and flies off. So now the girl is shunned and she wants to enter like this like really important school, and everyone just like makes fun of her and they think she's not possible. They think she's going to be exactly like her father, so she wants to prove them wrong. And as the series goes on, she starts to form friendship with a couple of people, and you can see that like throughout the covers. And so I just thought that this was like really fun to read. I love the first book. As the series went on, I kind of like fell out of love with YA, and I'm hoping that I'll find my love again and can make it back to the series, because I absolutely did love reading this series. I love the characters, I love the main characters, I love the robots, I love like I love that trope. Sassy robots gets me every time. The next book I want to recommend is Six of Crows, and like Six of Crows is very popular, but I didn't want to not recommend it just in case there might be somebody out there who like maybe you watched the show and you just never read the books, or maybe you were looking for a sign to read the books. This is your sign to read the books. If you don't know what Six of Crows is about, it's a heist book. It follows 6 characters, but you only get 5 POVs for some reason, and it is the main character and get everybody together, and there's just like so much like complexities within like the relationship. And I wanted to recommend The Prison Healer. This is a YA book I actually read I think last year or 2 years ago, and I actually really liked this series. I was really scared I wasn't gonna like it. I haven't finished it because I'm scared it was a fluke and like maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it was, but it was really good. Like I thought it was like really good. I think I gave like 4 or 5 stars, which a YA book has not gotten that from me in a long time, so that's why I'm scared it was a fluke. But this book is about this girl whose family was taken and put into this prison, and her family is all killed off, and so the queen is coming to the prison for a reason I forgot, and she is about to kill someone. And so the main character, being the amazing person that she is, she steps in and she's like, why don't we do a trial? And so it's kind of like ACOTAR in a way where they do trials and stuff like that, and she has like volunteered herself to do these trials, but it's like in this prison, and the characters, like there's like this younger boy that like reminds her of her brother, there's like this guard, there's like the love interest that has like secrets and all that kind of stuff. It is like very basic in my opinion, at least the first book is, but I mean I guess the other books will probably be good. I don't know yet, but I thought it was really fun at the time that I read it. The next book I have is The Raven Voice. Again, a very popular book, but also I've noticed like with like TikTok, they like research, like they like a lot of the books that are popular in 2014 on BookTube are starting to become popular again on BookTok, and it's so funny seeing like people be like, has anybody read this book? And it's like the biggest book on BookTube like back in the day, and it's just like, I don't know, it's funny. But with that being said, like nobody's really talking about The Raven Voice. So I also have a blog of me reading The Raven Voice for the first time on my Anna Reads if you want to check that out. But this so this book is about this girl named Blue, who her family is like psychic, and it is said that she is going to kill the first boy that she kisses, or like the love of her life if she kisses him. And so she obviously doesn't like pertain any relationships, but she ends up coming across these boys who go to the school, and she ends up like forming friendship with them, and she ends up dating one of them, and then kind of falling in love with the other one. and we're not really falling in love, but you know, whatever. And the friendship in that book is absolutely so amazing. It was so funny. I love all the characters. I love all the characters together. I really love the, and this, I'm the only one here, I really love the only girl in a group of guy trope. I don't know what it is. I ate it up. It just serves, as long as she's not like, you know, a pick me. I kind of hate that term now, but as long as she's not like a pick me or whatever, I eat it up. The last book that I want to recommend is The Gilded Wolves. I know this book is compared to a lot, Six of Crows. I've read both. They are not similar to each other at all. The Gilded Wolves, okay, I said that all, but it is also a heist book, but it's like very different. These people were all friends before the book starts, whereas when Sister Crow starts, like Cass is like, I know who could do this, and then he gets them all together and they become friends. But even if that was similar, it's very different. Someone dies. I remember I cried. Literally, I cried reading that book, and I never continued on with the series. Not because it was bad, because the covers were not cute. Adult fantasy. So the first book I want to talk about is Catherine House. So Catherine House, like, it's like these people are like, it gives about family, but you're not going to be happy at the end, basically. This is a dark academia book. It's a very hit or miss for a lot of people. It's one of my favorite books. It is about this girl who goes to this really prestigious like college, and you're following her throughout the years. It's really hard to explain. You're following her throughout the years, and you know, she does end up forming friends, and like she has like this really close, you know, found family group, and they bond over like, you know, this thing that they have going on at the school. But like I said, you are not gonna end satisfied. What I want to talk about is the Poppy War. I actually don't know if this is like found, like, no, it gives found family, but it's a fantasy and it will break your heart, so you're not gonna end happy. And I'm saying this as somebody who didn't read, still has not read the last books, simply because I am not ready for that heartbreak. But the Poppy War has some of the best characters I've ever read. It is such a good book. It is about Ren, who is a darker skinned Asian character, and she wants to go to the school, but a lot of people think that she isn't smart, and she ends up going to this school, and they think that she isn't smart simply because of the fact that she's dark skinned, and people just treat her so terrible. And so she goes to the school, and the people in the school also treat her terrible, but she makes us a couple of friends, and like the people who treat her terrible become like her frenemy, become like her friend, and it's just like such an amazing story. I just absolutely love the Poppy War and the friendships, and I feel like the friendships aren't talked about a lot in the community, but also I don't follow a lot of people who really are in love with the Poppy War like that. I don't know. The next book I have is Hinch, one of my favorite books of last year, and this book is about this girl who, if you like The Boys, watch this. I'm watching The Boys for the first time, and I'm like, this is so similar to Hinch. It's about this girl who is a villain. She's like a henchman, like, you know, like a henchman, and for super villains. And so she's in this fight with this superhero, and he breaks her leg, and so she ends up with a disability, and she's very angry about this. Like, if some superhero broke your leg, like, you know how everybody's like, oh, what would you do if like a superhero broke your car or whatever? Like, that's what this book is. And so, but she's a super villain, and so she is so angry because like they kind of just like brush her off. They don't even say like, I'm sorry, whatever. They're kind of just like, well, he's a superhero, like it really isn't that big of a deal, girl, like really get a life and move on. So she's like pissed. She's like, no. So she is enraged with wanting to seek revenge, and I love that. So it's a found family form with like the super villains, and also there's like this romance at the end. It's like literally the last 2 pages and the last page, and like that is what you call a slow burn. Like that, the author, she gets me. And then there's also going to be a sequel, which I believe was originally supposed to be a standalone, but it got so much hype that is going to get a sequel, and it's coming out in October, and it's like the best news I've heard, and it literally keeps me going. It really does. The next book I have is The Secret Society of the Regular Witches. I wasn't really obsessed with this book. This book is about this world where like witches are kind of known, but they're kind of like made to like keep it a secret. And so there's a school with a bunch of kids, and they're all pretty normal except for 3 kids who are witches. And so they bring the main character in to teach these kids like how to control like their power and stuff. And it's okay, but like the adults, the teachers and stuff, they form like this found family, and I did like that aspect of the book. Then we have Hellbent, which is the second book in the series. So Ninth House is like, this is like leading up, like obviously you have to read Ninth House, but like it's not gonna give found family vibes. Like you're gonna meet all the characters and you're gonna get to like know them separately, which I also do appreciate that. But the found family vibes in Hellbent, it just really did me in. Like it's very, very special. Then I have Vicious by V. Schwab, which is also very popular. But when you look up found family tropes on Google, because that's how I get all of my recommendations, Goodreads and Googling, that's literally where I get all my recommendations from. Like, yeah. So if you look up found family tropes, it never pops up. But there is a found family between Eli. No. What's the other one's name? I have not read this book in so long. I don't even own the books anymore. But between some characters, they perform like a found family, and like one of the main guys like takes on Victor. One of the characters takes on like this father role, so it's like that father daughter like role that everyone loves, kind of like in the Last of Us. I mean, I haven't really watched it, but kind of like that, like kind of like what everybody loves about that, except for the main character is a villain. Next we have contemporary. So the first book for this one, I want to say Radio Silence. This is also one of my favorite books. It's by Alice Oseman. I really loved it. It has really good representation. Don't remember what this book is about because it kind of doesn't really have a plot. It's literally about like a teenage girl like finding herself, finding her sexuality. Like it's a really good book, but I do not remember anything that happened in that book. I am so sorry. I don't even remember how it gives found family, if I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I've had this list for years, and I just, you know, I add to the list as I read. So it gives found family. But this book really was there for me in a hard time in my life. I was on an airplane when I was reading this book, and I get so anxious when I'm on airplanes because my favorite genre of movies is planes crashing and people ending up on like an island and having to survive. So with that being said, it's also my biggest fear. And yeah, so I was reading this book while I was on a plane, and it got me through, like, it was the exact amount of time of the flight. It got me through the entire flight. It was so good. Don't remember a single thing about it though. Next book is Undead Girl Gang. This is an underrated book. It's technically contemporary, but they're like witches, and it is so good. Like the plot twist was so good. Like the friendship though is what made me love. And like my favorite found family trope is when people, they all hate each other and they end up having to work together and having to become friends. So this is about this girl, and I remember this one clearly because I love this down. So this is about this girl who best friend dies, and she just does not believe that her best friend like is said to have killed herself, and she just does not believe her best friend would ever kill herself. She's like, I know this bitch, like she would never kill herself, like what? So she's like, let me conjure this bitch up. So she does a spell to like bring her friend back to life. I think it's a zombie. And she ends up, and then some other girls also in the school have died. So she ends up raising two popular girls that they do not fuck with at all. And so they all have to work together to find out what is going on, because it is not a coincidence that those two girls were killed and then those two girls killed themselves and then her best friend killed themselves. So they're like, something fishy is going on here. And so I just thought it was such a fun book, especially because the girls, like the two popular girls and then the main character and her best friend, do not fuck with each other at all. And I just like, I love that. It was just so good. It was so fun. It's like, I don't know if it's that good. This is like one of the first books I've read when I joined BookTube, so it might not be that good, but like I had the time of my life reading that book. The next book is Foxhole Court, which is like problematic, but I fully expected this book to be popular again with like the whole TikTok thing and TikTok coming around, because the book was popular, well kind of popular but kind of underrated on BookTube. It is about this boy who plays Oxy. No, that's a drug. They play like this made-up sport, and they play out this made-up sport, and it's just very problematic. If you like problematic, I would give it a try. It is gay, so I think a lot of people would like that. Yeah, it gives found family because they're all on like a team. And my favorite thing about this book is, first of all, it took me a year to read this book, mainly because the book is so small, but the text is also even smaller. But what helped me push through it was the fan art. Like, this book has some of the best fan art on Tumblr. So if you want to know, like, hey, should I read this book for real? Go look at the fan art and let that help you decide if you should read it. The last book I have is One Last Stop. Oh, I wanted to say also by Alice Oseman so bad. It is not by her. So this one is also queer. This is about a girl who is just moving to New York, I believe, and she is like really having I don't know, yeah, she's moving to New York and she gets on this train, and so every day on the train she sees this girl and she's like, this bitch wears the same outfit every day, she looks like she stepped out of the 90s. So she goes and she talks to her, she finds out that she is from the 90s or the 80s or some shit like that, and she's actually stuck in a time loop. And I just thought it was like, it was fun, but it gives found family because her roommates, she has a lot of roommates and they're just very like welcoming and like so kind, and I really love that aspect of the book. Like, I keep saying that, but duh. Next category is romance. So first book I want to recommend is the Calloway Sisters, which it's kind of like cheating because they're all sisters, but it does give found family. They're very close sisters. The funniest fucking thing about this series, so first of all, every girl is named after a flower. There's Lily, there's Rose, and there's Daisy. There is an older sister named Poppy that they do not fuck with at all. Like, Poppy starts off, you start off the series, Poppy's married, she already has kids, she is not mentioned. Like, they do not give a fuck about Poppy. Like, Poppy is off living her own fucking life. It is so hilarious to me. It is so hilarious. But so it follows the three sisters and then their three boyfriends. So they're called like the Core Six. I would just say look up the Core Six on Pinterest, and you will find like so much fan cast about them. It's just like rich white people stuff. It's actually very fun though. You have to read the Addicted. You don't have to read the Addicted series first. I personally don't give a fuck about that series. It's like, alright. I really hate how Becca and Krista wrote that series, because you like Rose and Connor are my favorite, and you don't get to see them fall in love through their own, like through each other. You see them fall in love through Lily, and that is just very unfortunate to me because I wanted to see them fall in love, and then like the author never really writes like them like falling in love. And like the Calloway sisters starts off with them already being in love and a couple, but they're such an amazing couple that actually doesn't even matter. Like, it is just so good. And I will say that like I don't like reading romance books. Once the characters like get together, I get bored and I kind of check out. But this series, like, I could read more books about them just being a couple because they are so cute, and also their dynamics stay the same. Because usually when couples get together in romance books, their dynamics change, but their dynamics in this book stay the same, and I really love that. The next book I want to recommend is Thorn Chapel. Now this is on the smuttier side, and this is like a poly book because y'all know I loves my poly. I don't even remember what this book is about. This book is about like this like mansion, and these kids used to always like go to this mansion when they were younger, and they all had like these feelings for each other, and then like they end up going back for a reunion and it ends up sparking up some stuff. I never finished the series because the second book had some weird incest stuff, and I do not fuck with that at all. But so the first book is really good. If you ignore what's gonna happen in the second book, the first book is really good. I never continued on with the series because that ain't for me. So the first book is the only book that exists. It's a standalone. Yeah. So technically it's a found family because they all end up becoming friends when they're children. And then they, you know, keep that friendship. So the next book is Boys of Burberry Prep. Now, I love this genre of, I love reverse harem. If you guys don't know, maybe do a recommendation. I'm gonna do a recommendation because I fucking love reverse harem. Like, that is my favorite trope. That's one thing that just does not disappoint me. I love that trope down. So it's reverse harem, and it's set in high school. So I don't really like reading high school like reverse harems, but back when I did, I was eating this book up. They do have one, oh gosh, okay, anyways, okay, so yeah, so it's reverse harem, and then there's another one called Secret Girl, and it's not, I don't think that's a series name, but that's like, I think it is. It's called Secret Girls. And so it's written by the same author, and then she has them like meet up in a college book. I never finished it because I wasn't in the mood for it. I might finish it tonight because I love that author. Like, she writes the best reverse harem. She has some hits, but she also has some misses. But anyway, so Burberry Prep, typical reverse harem, white girl. White girl. Like, she's very poor, but she's very smart. She ends up writing like, she ended up like going to the school. She's going on a scholarship. The guys bully her because they feel like she doesn't belong there because she just like doesn't have any money. She's not rich, and they just feel like she doesn't, which doesn't make any sense to me because she has to work the hardest considering she has a scholarship. So if anything, she belonged there more than them, but whatever. And then they end up like forming this romance, and it was so good. And then Secret Girl is about this girl who ends up pretending to be a guy to go to this all boys school to find out like the mystery behind like this murder that happened. And I know that it's like very problematic, but it's like written, in my opinion, the way that it was written was very well. Like, it didn't really cross any like lines, it didn't really get any weird. It just, to me, it reminded me of the Amanda Bynes movie She's the Man. Like, that's exactly what I liked it, because it gave like She's the Man, literally it was She's the Man. Like, so that's why I liked it, but I could understand why you would think like it could be problematic. So I understand if you don't want to read that. But like I said, and then the characters from Burberry Prep and Secret Girl end up coming together in a college book. And I just think that's so genius. Like, Sam Stitch, like, that is my girl for real. Then the last book in this category I want to recommend is The Time I Got Drunk. Now, this is technically a fantasy, but I didn't really know where to put this one. So this one is so fun. It is about this girl. Well, it's called The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. I hate how long the title is, but it's like very fun. The writing is funny, but then it does venture off to corny after a certain point, but that's neither here nor there. So it's about this girl who she lives in this world, like, it's really it was a very well developed fantasy world for the book to only be like 150 pages. So like, they have like this queen, and I believe they like just defeated like some monster in their town, so they're celebrating. So she's drunk, everybody's drinking or whatever, and she ends up going through the woods, and she ends up finding like this man and like this demon who's like trying to kill her. So she runs home and she like throws cinnamon at him, or she throws something at him, and it actually ends up like releasing this curse. And so he's like, you helped me, but now I need you to help me even more. So he's like, yeah, so your queen, she's actually evil, and the demons are actually cursed to be evil, and so you have to go on this journey to find these relics of hers and in them, so we can uncurse these demons. So she goes on this journey. She ends up coming across like a bunch of like, she ends up coming across some other characters, and they actually end up like, once they defeat like the evil whatever, they end up coming together with her and like going to like this small town, and like they end up falling in love with like their own characters. And I just thought it was like super fun and super cute. It was also funny, but like I said, it does get corny to a certain extent. I mean, I hate how long the titles are, and I hate how corny the titles are also. The books are getting new covers now, so hopefully, I mean, the author made the covers herself, so they were really pretty. Honestly, I'm mad that I didn't get them, but that's okay. I'm gonna be getting the newer ones. I kind of hope that it gets a title change, but it's okay if it doesn't. And then the last section is graphic novels. I only have two. So the first graphic novel I want to recommend is Gotham Academy. It was not continued, but it is like literally my all-time favorite graphic novel. So it takes place in the DC universe, and it takes place in Gotham Academy, and it is about this main character named Violet, who trouble seems to follow her everywhere. Her mom just got taken to Arkham, which is like, you know, the asylum in Gotham, and she just feels like these creatures are always following her around everywhere. And so she ends up like, there's this character, I loved her, I forgot her name, Maps. Oh my gosh, I loved her. There's this character named Maps, and so Maps' older brother used to date Violet, and they broke up, and like they have like this like tense relationship. And so Maps like ends up like forcing Violet to become friends with her, and I love that friendship of like the like quiet loner girl and then the hyper like annoying girl, and they end up like getting involved in like this mystery, and like two other people end up joining, and so they all end up becoming friends. And like I said earlier, I love when characters who are not likely characters who hate each other end up becoming friends, becoming family. So that's what happens in this book. So there's like the popular girl that hates her, and there's like this loner boy, and I love this book so, like, it is so good. It is so disappointed this is like one of DC's like least popular graphic novels, because it was so amazing. And even like Damian Wayne's, you know, Batman's son ends up even in the book, but the artwork does end up changing like halfway through the series, and I did hate that because I love the artwork in the main series. That's why I read it. I basically read graphic novels based off how much I love the artwork. It's very superficial, and I hate that about myself, but I cannot read a graphic novel if I do not like the artwork. Then the last graphic novel I have is Snot Girl. A lot of people hate this book. A lot of people don't realize that the book is satire, which I think is so funny, and it makes it even like, I don't know, I just think it makes it even fun, makes the book even funnier. But it's about this girl named Melody. She's very superficial, she's very narcissistic, only cares about herself, and she basically, like, you don't know what's going on. The book is like very weird, but she's very superficial, and her, like, I don't know, you have to also the art is very pretty, but you have to, only pretty girls really get it. I'm sorry to say, only pretty girls really understand Snot Girl. You really have to read it because the artwork is beautiful, and I feel like Lottie's funny, but also it's not really a found family, but it kind of is because it follows these characters. It's very weird. I cannot describe what it is to you. Like, she has like this fashion blog, and she has like this assistant, and she has like these friends that she goes and meets. There's like this, her ex-boyfriend, new girlfriend is like weirdly obsessed with her and is like stalking her, and it's kind of sapphic. There's kind of this girl that like pops up. I can't remember if they kiss or not. I think they do. And then she also has this thing where she like snots. It's called Snot Girl for a reason. It's amazing. I don't know. Yes, that is it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.